Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world? This can't be. Be what? Be real? So, I'm talking about the Matrix. I'm talking about the idea of what the heck is the Matrix in our world, in our reality. How does the idea of the Matrix and the movie The Matrix apply to us living right now? Like, what the heck is this reality? What are we doing here on this planet? Like, what are we doing? It feels like life kind of feels like aspects of it feel kind of fake, like it's a game, right? It feels a little bit like the Matrix. At least it does to me. I mean, like, so what are we doing here? Like, what the heck is life? What are we doing here? What is the Matrix? What is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of all this suffering on this planet? You know, there's a lot of joy, but there's a ton of suffering too. I mean, the Buddha said life is suffering. Of course, that was an early teaching of his. I think he changed part of his perception, but it's a big part of life either way, suffering. And anyway, so like, what is life? What is the point of life, right? So this is part two of my little "What is the Matrix" episodes. So this is part two. What the heck is the Matrix? And oh yeah, so just in that just in that one quote, it's like, think about like, when you have dreams, say you have 20 dreams a night or 10 dreams a night, when you're in that dream, it's totally real. Like, you're totally immersed in that reality, and it's real. It's totally real. Like, it's on. It might not, if you leave the dream and look at it and write it down, it might not be very logical. You're like, okay, flying houses or something, you know, or I was flying, I was Superman. It's not super logical, but it happened, and when you're in it, it was totally real. So one analogy that I like, that I thought about the other day, was, if you think reincarnation is totally stupid and just impossible and doesn't make any sense, and just because, if you're not raised in a culture where people see that as a normal thing, it's not their way of life, it's not your way of life, then it seems stupid. It seems like, it doesn't seem right. But look at it this way: when you're in a dream, if someone told you in the dream that it was just not really real, and it was just like you're deep in your head, deep in your, so you're in your subconscious, it's not really real, you'd be like, okay, well, anyway, I'm gonna go fly. I'm Superman, so I'm gonna go fly over there now. And whatever you're saying, I don't like it. you know. But then you wake up and you're like, well, that was a really interesting dream. And then you're you again, and then you fall back asleep and you become another character in a dream. So those, say you have 20 dreams, say you have 20 dreams a night, and then over the course of your lifetime, times that by 20 times 365 times 80 or 82 or whatever. It's a lot. It's like a million. Maybe not a million, but I'll say 100,000 dreams. So that could be like, this life that you're in right now could be one of those dreams on a larger scale. And then when you wake up, you come out of this dream. Now repeat that 100,000 times. And that's what they say reincarnation is. It's like that, right? When you wake up or when you die, a better term would be when you wake up, you get more of your memory back. You're like, oh, I'm actually this being that's been around for millions of years. And you're like, huh. And then you get some life lessons, some spiritual guidance, and then they're like, hey, go back, you have more to learn. And you're like, okay, bye. And then some of the people that are more evolved, like, they say they have a ton of good karma saved up, They get to visit higher planes, higher heavens. And then if you evolve, become like enlightened, you just go and live in a new plane. You get reborn on a new plane, and you don't have to reincarnate on this realm. So another aspect of that whole concept is the concept of, have you ever woken up inside a dream and realized that you're dreaming, and you're like, I'm in a dream. This is crazy. I mean, most people have, right? It used to happen to me all the time. I'd be like, I'm in a dream. And instantly I would try to take advantage of the dream. I'd be like, I can do anything I want. Ah. And I'd get really hyper, and then I'd wake up. And I'd be like, I'd try to fly, or like destroy something, or, kiss a beautiful girl, or just try to do something. I'd be like, I can do anything. And then I get overexcited, and then wake up, and then I'm like, oh. But anyway, it's you're aware that you're in a dream, and you're conscious of it, and it disturbs the dream a little bit, right? I've heard some types of Buddhism, the monks practice lucid dreaming. Anyway, they through meditation, visualization, they craft the dream they want. And then they, through breathing and through visualization, they actually go into the dream. So that's pretty wild. That's pretty cool. You can do that. There's ways to do that. I think it takes visualization, learning. Anyway, I got into it a little bit. It was pretty cool. It's actually not hard to grow your visualization mechanism. And I heard it's not actually hard to do that, to do the dream thing, but it takes you got to work on it every day for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And then you can actually go back into old dreams or create new dreams, which is pretty wild, right? So being in the moment, the being in the Zen moment, or being in the awakened state of mind, or the Zen state of mind, or enlightenment, or being aware or awake, the terminology is always like awakening, right? Because when you go into the Zen moment, it feels similar in a way to when you're in a dream and you become aware that you're in a dream, and you wake up in the dream, and then you wake up for real. But so being in the awakened state of mind, when you are in this reality, in this dream, this current big massive dream that we're in, when you go into the Zen state of mind, it feels like you wake up, and you kind of take a step back from being stuck in it in your head, and you take a step back, and you're like, wow, I'm actually awake in a type of a dream. And it's wild. It feels amazing. It feels blissful, mostly just peaceful, serene, and it's beautiful. You see the beauty in everything. Yeah, I could get into that. I used to go on long walks, in 2 or 3 hour walks every morning, and I would see the sunrise. And I used to live in Saskatchewan, where they had beautiful, beautiful sunrises, beautiful. And I would see these sunrises while being in the Zen state. And there's kind of levels of how deep you go into the moment, how deep you go into the Zen state. And the deeper you go, the more beautiful everything looks. And more moving everything is, especially wildflowers, or sunrise. Anyway, I would see the sunrise in deep Zen state, and it was I was very emotional, because it was so beautiful. The beauty was it was hard to. It was overwhelming in a good way, very overwhelming. So this is part 2. There's a couple things I started to talk about in part 1 that I never really explained in any way. I just kind of mentioned it and then moved on, and jumped around a bunch of topics, which is kind of what I do sometimes, of course. So here's a couple of the things. So I mentioned the what is the point of being here? What is the point of life? And this one guy I love right now is a guru in the States. And his name is Swami 𝐀𝐻𝐿, and he said what's the point of life? And the point of life is to grow. It's very simple. It's to grow. And by saying those words, you can make those words mean whatever you want, kind of, to grow. What does that mean, right? So he later describes what it means for him, more specifically, the term to grow. And what it means is actually to dissolve your walls and connect more, which makes sense. We have like the ego is like massive walls, right? Separating you from others, from God, from your soul, from the source, from everything. And then we have our own trauma, and we have our own karma, and then we have ancestral karmas. So all these things, ancestral traumas too. That's really an ancestral memory, and your own memory and ancestral memory are kind of like karma. That's kind of what it is. Same with trauma and karma and ancestral memories and your ancestral traumas. It's all the same shit. It's all the same bullshit, and it's karma, essentially. Like, you could wrap it up into one word: trauma or karma. They're kind of the same thing. I could do a whole episode on that, but that stuff, it jades you, and it holds you down, it weighs you down, and it holds you down into cycles of thinking, cycles of behavior, doing, habits, everything, like your parents and your parents' parents. You stay just like them. You think like them, you act like them. You can try as hard as you want to not be them, but you're going to be like, it'll be just a different version of them, the same patterns. So that's ancestral karma or trauma or memory. It's all kind of the same thing, right? And how do you break away from that? Deep meditation, exercise, bending, yoga, breathing and meditation, and you kind of can take a little bit of back the freedom. It's like you're building the ability to have free will. You're growing free will. Because if you're not working on growing free will, then you kind of don't really have it. It's weird. It's a strange concept. So anyway, he said, how do you grow? And that's by dissolving your walls of karma, walls of the ego and trauma, and by dissolving those walls, then you connect with your soul, with God, and with other people, and even Sadhguru talked about this, and he said when people have experiences of being one with everything, like the hot dog vendor in New York, and some Buddhist monk wearing orange robe walked up, and the vendor said, "What'll you have?" And he's like, "I'll have one with everything," and so you can have in deep satori's or samadhis, deep, or just being deep in meditation. You can have experiences where you can't tell the difference between you and everything else and everyone else, and every, like, 100 feet, 200, 300, 400, 500 feet out from where you are that. There's no difference between you and them. There's no one. You feel like you're one with everything. I've had small experiences like that. I wouldn't say any big ones. I've heard of a lot of people having those experiences. I had a small one a few times where it was like, I don't know, like 10 feet out. It was me. I could see like 10 feet out, but I could see in every direction, and I could see like every blade of grass within like a 10-foot or 20, maybe 15-foot bubble. It was like I could see from every angle. I could see hundreds of blades of grass. It was just like, it was weird. Anyway, that's not a very important spiritual experience. I've had many, 1,000 times more experience, more interesting ones, like samadhi. A few different kind of beginner level samadhi states, which are pretty wild. I feel like you're in a different zone, like extremely blissful and perfect concentration, and just deeply blissful. Like kind of some of the ones that I felt, the samadhis were kind of, it's like, felt like great sex mixed with great drugs mixed with deep meditative state, kind of all kind of mixed together, but yet none of those things, and sort of like all of them combined, like an orgasm mixed with drugs mixed with deep your deepest like spiritual like blissful states, kind of a weird mixture of all those, and perfect focus, and you're not like, oh yeah, and you simple things don't distract you. Like nothing distracts you. You're in like a zone. You're in a zone, and you can just stay there for like hours. It's weird. But anyway, it's only happened to me like once or twice. It's very rare, and it's dangerous too. If you're not a very like experienced like yogi, it can be dangerous because it can samadhi states can be too powerful for you to handle. They can mess you up if you're not a very experienced yogi type. I think, I could be wrong, but yeah, like I wouldn't work really hard to try to get into really advanced states like that without spending a few years. Like they in yoga they talk about, you got to work on stabilizing your mind and your energies and your chakras first. Work on stabilizing your system. Don't work on going into very blissful states, because if you chase that kind of stuff and you haven't worked on for a few years on stabilizing your system, then those things can just totally mess you up and be very unhealthy for you. So focus on stabilizing. Okay, yeah, and how to not feel cut off, because part of the matrix is like we feel totally caught. You can feel like an alien, like you're an alien in a world, and you're a subterranean homesick alien, like the title of that Radiohead song, Subterranean Homesick Alien. You feel like you don't belong here, like it's fake, something's fake, you don't belong, or you're cut off from the source, or you're cut off from God, or you're cut off from your ancient home where you used to live, some other realm. And that's kind of why why it feels like we're in a simulation, because we kind of are, it is kind of a fake dream. Even though it's real, it's kind of like a fake dream, right? So how do you not feel cut off and alone? Well, it's simple, but it takes simple but not easy. And by that I mean you get through deep meditation and through whittling away at your trauma, your karma, and your ego, making those walls thinner. And then you connect more deeper to your soul, and through deep meditation, regular deep meditation, where you're connecting to a very, very joyful, blissful state. That's you kind of connecting back to God, like a little lifeline back to God. And you can have that. It's like you can feel a ray of the sun, of the source. and that doing that every day helps you obviously you grow. It grows deeper and deeper the more you do it, and the better types you do, and so on and so forth. How much you grow in that area, but doing that regularly, that's what helps you feel like not cut off. Oh, and a couple more things. Lord Nataraj. So within the last 1,000 years or something, or maybe less, there's a symbol of a dancing Shiva. So it's like a person with four arms. One arm's like this. One's like this. One's like this or this, and another one is like this, and then the two dancing legs, and then three rings, huge rings around. One is like time, one's space, and another one's like fire or something. I don't know. And every hand gesture means something, and it's really cool. Like the one like this, it means despite all the horrible things that you've been through in life and all of your trials and tribulations, don't fear, don't fear. And anyway, there's like 10 different specific symbols that mean something. There's a little tiny dwarf that he's standing on, and that represents the ego, and you're supposed to crush the ego. And that's the same as like the traumas or the ego or the karma that separates you from connecting to everything. And the deepest desire of the soul is to make those walls smaller and then connect back to everything and everyone and God. And that's growing, right? But growing is kind of it's not that term it's not exactly right. It's more like reconnecting through dissolving yourself or part of yourself. That's a better description. Anyway, there's a bunch of different things going. One of his legs is raised, and then one of his arms is pointing to the raised leg, and that symbolizes how do you do life? How do you figure out life? How do you evolve? Crush the ego, lessen the ego, and raise your consciousness. The leg that's raised is you raising your consciousness. And that's, yeah, there's there's a million other parts to the symbolism of Lord Nataraj. So Lord Nataraj is symbolic for the cosmic God as the cosmic dancer. So all of the solar systems and all the planets and the billions and billions and billions of nebulas and galaxies and whatever, it's very vast, right? That God is the cosmic dancer. So another part that's confusing is when people say Shiva, because it can mean many, many different things. There was a yogi 15,000 years ago named Shiva, right? And then there's also like 20 some versions of the word Shiva, like Shambho or Mahesh, Kala, I don't know, different names for the same name, Shiva. So, but there's also different versions of the name Shiva. So Shiva was a person, the first yogi, but people also use that name Shiva for just normal people. There's like millions of people that have the name Shiva or Mahesh. And then there's the God version, which is not a person. It's the cosmic God, Shiva. And one of the depictions or descriptions of it is Lord Nataraj, that one symbol, image, idol, ideal. That's a more current, but one of the most famous ones. Ideals out there. One last thing. Within the last few years, scientists have said that no, wait, it's not 13. The universe is not 13 billion years old. It's now believed that they have a new estimate, and that is it's 28 billion years old. And when I hear stuff like this, it's like they have a new telescope that's out there in space somewhere, And they're like, oh, no, it's not 13 billion years old. It's 28 billion years old. When I hear this, it just sounds silly. Like it sounds stupid because it's like, okay, so 5 years ago, the latest science said that we think the universe is 13 billion years old. And then now it's 8 billion years old. It just seems silly. It's like what creates planets and solar systems and nebulas and life, and how long does it take? In my perception, I think it's a mixture of evolution and creation. It's by themselves, these two things don't really make it's like they don't really make enough sense to survive on their own, these two concepts. But if you mix them together, in my mind, it's the only option. So like a creative force that manifests and creates over millions and billions of years and through evolution, but not the cold calculated evolution that people believe in, but like a mixture of creative force. And so in Hinduism, they say Brahman is Brahman? No, Brahma is God with no form. So there's no physical form. It's just before form, before sound, before physical matter. It's like the essence. And then God manifests. The universe becomes form. And it's a dance. It's a play. Like Leela is the cosmic play. The play. And then... or life is a cosmic dance. And then Lord Nataraj is the cosmic dancer. Anyway, like and subscribe. I forgot to say that earlier on, but whatever. Who cares, right? There may be another episode coming down the Matrix pipeline. If you enjoyed this at all, or if you're still watching, which maybe 1% of you are, like and subscribe. Please, very much please, and thank you. And I'll see you later. Cheers. Peace.